Welcome to your consonants course. Just like the course on vowels and diphthongs, this course will reuse some of the videos I've already made on the sounds. What really makes this course different is all of the audio you have to train with. Remember, I've said it a million times and I'll keep on saying it. The only way to get better is through repetition and practice, and I want to make sure you have all the materials you need to practice. Vowels and diphthongs are made with the free flow of air. Ah, eh, oo. Consonants are made with some kind of restriction. The lips are together. K, the tongue stops the air by touching the soft palate. Consonants can be made without the vocal cords vibrating to make a core sound. These are called voiceless or unvoiced consonants. They're made with air only. K, p, t, sh. Then there are consonants that do have a voiced sound in them. The vocal cords do vibrate, like d. These are voiced consonants. Some consonants are really, really tricky. I'm thinking of the dark L, the R, the TH, all the ways the T can be pronounced. Sometimes consonants are strong. Sometimes they're weak. In this course, I'm going to try to make learning consonants as painless as possible. All of the Ben Franklin analysis that we're doing in other courses will help. You'll see in real conversation how the T pronunciations work, or how the dark L makes a word sound different. And that will help solidify what you learn about individual sounds in this course.
Okay, this gets asked every class. I need to put something in the academy. Mia is asking about the difference between the front and the mid-front part of the tongue. Okay, so we have the tip, which is the end. Let me get up. It's the end of the tongue is the tip. Then if you think of this as the tip and then you just go on top, that's the front. Like the very front, the top of the tip. The mid, I would say, is about here. So then that is mid-front. It's sort of like a finger's width. You have the tip, then you come around, that's the front, that's the mid-front, that's the mid, about.
We're going to go ahead and start with the L consonant, one of the tough ones. The L sound itself is not particularly tough, but there's a trick to it. There are actually two different kinds of L sounds. When you look in a dictionary, there's only one symbol. This is one of the cases where the IP actually represent the way Americans speak. There's only one symbol for L, and it's this. In the next video on the L sound, you'll learn about the light L and the dark L, the two different kinds, how to make them, and when the L is light and when it's dark. The L is dark when it comes after the vowel or diphthong in a syllable. I'm going to pick two words and say them correctly with a dark L, and then incorrectly with a light L. I think this will help you understand the difference in the sounds and the next video even better. The first word we're going to work with is real. This is how it's spelled in IPA. The L comes after the vowel, so it's a dark L. Real. Real. Notice how I switch from the E vowel to a different sound. Eel. This is the dark sound, and it's made with the back of my tongue. The back part of my tongue presses down and pulls back a little bit. Oh, oh. The tip of the tongue stays down. The lips are relaxed. Oh. Real. So the feeling of the placement is back here. Oh, oh. This is different from the light L, which is made up here with the front of the tongue. Oh, oh. Let's. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. Oh. So let me say the word real without the dark L, just the front of the mouth, just the front of the tongue, the light L. Real, 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 real. I did not use the back of my tongue at all. Real, real. Now I'm going to say it correctly again with the dark L. Real, real, real. Now I'll alternate. Can you hear the difference? Real, 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 real. I bet you can hear the difference. It's pretty obvious. If you can make the dark L sound, you'll sound so much more natural when speaking English. Real, 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 real. Oh. Let's do this with another word, the word able. Here, the dark L is in an unstressed syllable. The correct pronunciation, able. Bull, oh, back of the tongue, able. The incorrect pronunciation, able, able. B, schwa, L. But I'm not using the back of my tongue, I'm using the front only. Able, able, able. That sound is not correct. Now I'll alternate. Able, 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 able. I'm pretty confident you can hear the difference. Back of the tongue is key for the dark L. Keep this in mind as you watch the video on the two different L's and work with the corresponding audio. In this American English pronunciation video, we're going to learn how to pronounce the L consonant sound. This sound is especially difficult. difficult. There are actually two kinds of L's, and they're not made the same way. But if you look up a word in the dictionary, there's only one international phonetic alphabet symbol for both kinds of L. In this video, you'll learn when to make which kind of L. First, the light L sound. This is what most people think of when they think of an L. The L is a light L when it comes before the vowel or diphthong in a syllable. For example, let's, flake, release. There are two different ways native speakers make this sound. One way is to lift the tongue so the tip is touching the roof of the mouth, just behind the front teeth. This is not the same as the T, D, and N tongue positions, where the tongue lifts so the top is touching the roof of the mouth. This is the tip. Another way native speakers make this sound looks like the TH, with the tongue tip touching the bottom of the top front teeth. The contact with the teeth is more firm than the TH sound, pushing up on the top teeth. The tongue is not as loose or relaxed in the L as it is in the TH. Let's look at the light L up close and in slow motion. Here's one way to make the L, with the tongue tip coming through the teeth to press up on the bottom of the top front teeth. Here's the second way to make the light L, the tip at the roof of the mouth, just behind the teeth. Here's the word lack. The tongue comes through the teeth to make the light L. The word slow. The light L is made with the tongue tip at the roof of the mouth. The second kind of L is the dark L. This is the sound that happens when the L comes after the vowel or diphthong in a word or syllable, like real or Google. This sound has two parts, but many Americans leave out the second part in most cases. You should too. It makes it easier to pronounce. The first and most important part of the dark L is the dark sound. This defines the dark L. To make this sound, you don't lift your tongue tip. Instead, it's down, touching the back of the bottom front teeth. The back part of the tongue pulls back towards the throat. You can see there isn't much jaw drop, and the lips are relaxed. Ul. You should feel the vibration in the throat and not the face. Ul. The back part of the tongue presses down or shifts back. This is an important part of the sound. Ul. Ul. Most Americans will stop there when making the dark L. Real. Google. Thoughtful. Unless they're linking into a word that begins with an L or a sound with a similar position, like N, T, or D. In that case, go ahead and make the second part of the dark L. The second part of the dark L is the light L. Bring your tongue tip up to the roof of the mouth or through the teeth. Some native speakers make the full dark L, both parts, all the time. What's important is the dark sound. Make it with the back of the tongue, and make sure you never leave that part out. Ul. Ul. Again, the dark L has two parts. The first and most important part, the tongue pulls back or presses down in the back. The second part, which is often left out. Either option for the light L. Here, the option with the tongue tip at the roof of the mouth is pictured. Let's look at the dark L up close and in slow motion. The word feel. The tongue tip arches in the front for the E vowel. Watch as the tongue lowers in the back. Now the tongue is lowered, pulling back a little bit in the back. It's hard to see because of the lips, but the tip of the tongue is still forward. Notice that the lips are relaxed. The word recall. The dark part is made with the back of the tongue as the jaw closes. This time the dark L does end with the second part, the light L. The tongue tip quickly comes through the teeth. Lips are relaxed. The relaxation of the lips is important in the dark L. Many non-native speakers want to round or flare the lips, which brings the sound forward and changes it. But the dark sound is made back here. Leave the lips relaxed so the sound can be made in the back of the mouth. When you look at the International Phonetic Alphabet transcription for a word in a dictionary, you'll just see one symbol, whether it's a light L or a dark L. It's up to you to know when to make a dark L when the L comes at the end of a syllable. Remember, we're talking about sounds and not letters. In the example, Google, you see the letter E after the L. E is a vowel, but when you look at the phonetic transcription of the word, the last sound is the L. So the L in Google is a dark L, ul, ul, Google. If you integrate a good dark L into your speech, it will help you sound more American. The light L, lack, slow. The dark L, feel, recall. Example words. Repeat with me. Love, love. Hello, hello. Flat, flat. Feel, feel. Table, table. People, people. I hope this video helps you understand this sound. That's it, and thanks so much for using Rachel's English.
Hi Sadie, so it's been a week since the live class. I have not forgotten you. I am gonna do an extra video here to sort of follow up with a couple things I was talking about with the dark L. So this is a tough sound, and you know, because I'm not in the same room as you, I can't look up, go look at your mouth, get a really good view of what's happening. But it kept being my sense that your dark L was two parts, which the official dark L is. There's the dark sound, oh, and then the finish with the tongue tip coming up. Americans, most of the time, don't finish. We would only finish if the next word begins with an L, or if the next word begins with a vowel. Then often we would finish in order to put a little definition on that word before linking in. Because when we link an ending consonant into a beginning vowel, it often strengthens that ending consonant. But most of the time, we just leave that lift off. And I know that you were saying, you know, I'm just concentrating on the back. But I felt like the habit was so strong that it kept finishing, and that was, I was wanting you to leave that part off. So let's go to the computer here and look at a couple of the pictures. I promised some pictures, so here we go. So here on the left is the dark L, and on the right is the light L. And you can see for the light L, of course, that the tongue comes up. This back part of the tongue here is relaxed, and the front part gently lifts. And that's the L that everyone's taught in school when they're learning about the sounds. Now, for the dark L, you can see the tongue tip stays down, and now it's the front part that stays. So look at the space between the tongue and the throat here. It's smaller than the space between the tongue and the throat here. That's because there's sort of a feeling of pressing down and back with the tongue. Oh, oh, oh. And that's what sort of allows the sound to get stuck or captured here, which is what makes it a dark sound. Okay, so, and hopefully those pictures make it a little bit more clear. Also, this was not your problem, but for other people, they will involve the lips. And again, this video shows that it's all about the tongue. So the lips should stay relaxed and neutral. Let's look at the picture one more time. You can see how the lips are completely relaxed. There's nothing pulling here. They're not flaring out. They're just completely relaxed with a little bit of light, loose lip separation. Just a tiny bit of jaw drop. The teeth aren't clenching or anything like that. So one thing that I think you could do to work on this sound to help break that habit of what I think is happening, which is the front of the tongue finishing, doing some work, is to use a tool. So I have a nail clippers here just because I don't have anything better, but I want something that's flat that I can stick in my mouth. I don't want a pencil or anything that's round, but just something that's flat. So if you have a nail clippers, that can work, or whatever, a popsicle stick, that kind of thing. So if you just slide it in your mouth, it's on top of my tongue, and have it so it's resting on the bottom teeth. You know, both of your teeth can be closed around it lightly. Oh, oh, oh. Make sure you're not feeling pressure up against that. This is just a way to check your tongue. Is your tongue, do you feel your tongue putting pressure on it, trying to lift? This is just a way for you to notice better what the front of your tongue is doing. Oh, 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 oh. So you should feel no change in pressure between your tongue and whatever is in your mouth. If you're feeling a change in pressure, then that means the front part of the tongue keeps wanting to engage. We want to totally let that go, totally relax that, to sort of force, for lack of a better word, the back of the tongue to be producing the sound. Okay, so give that a try, and just remember to try to relax when you're doing it. You know, it's not a bad idea before you do it to say, I'm gonna practice the dark L. I'm gonna find the dark L. I'm gonna do a wonderful dark L. I'm so excited about finding this dark L. Like, just sort of say some positive statements to help put you in the right frame of mind. A lot of people think that's ridiculous. Why would I do that? And I would say, because whether you know it or not, if you're stressed about a sound, you might already be saying something that's negative without really realizing it. So if we intentionally say something that's positive, it can help counteract that. And it's crazy, but you may know this kind of thing really works. So try a few positive sentences, a positive approach, a relaxed approach, then try the tool, thinking about the pictures, and let's see what happens.
The more I teach something, the more I learn about it. That's one of the things I love about teaching. And as I've been working with students here in the Academy, I've realized there are a few more things I need to teach about the dark L. The dark L comes after the vowel or diphthong in a syllable, and we have two different kinds of syllables in American English, stressed and unstressed. In an unstressed syllable, the vast majority of the time, the dark L is going to come after the schwa. Let's look at some words. Local, social, general, hospital, material, model, special, travel, people, table, example. A simple ending, ul, ul. Unstressed, the dark sound. You don't need to try to make a schwa sound, then the dark L. The dark L absorbs the schwa. Because it does this, it's called a syllabic consonant. The dark L can also come at the end of a stressed syllable. And like R, the L at the end of a stressed syllable can change the vowel or diphthong sound of that stressed syllable. For example, aw as in law. When it's followed by the dark L, it becomes all. It's all one sound, isn't it? I'm not making the aw as in law vowel, aw, and then a dark L, ul, all, all. That's not what we're doing. We're doing all. Let's use the word ball as an example. First, let's try to separate out the aw sound from the dark L and see if that sounds right. B, aw, ul, ba, ba, ul, ba, ul, ball, ball. No, that is definitely not how that's pronounced. We say ball. I'm mixing the aw vowel and the dark L together to form one sound. Ball, all, call, tall. At the end, you can bring the back of the tongue even further back to make a more concise dark sound, but you don't need to lift your tongue tip up. That's not necessary. Hall, wall, fall. In all of those, my tongue tip stays in the same place. Salt. The sound that's changed the most by the dark L is the O diphthong. On its own, you're probably familiar with the sound O. But in a stressed syllable with L, like bowl, it becomes ol, ol. That's pretty different from O, which has more jaw drop. It's similar to the aw vowel plus dark L, which we just studied, but the mouth is even more closed. There's even more lip rounding. Let's alternate ball and bowl. I bet that's a difficult minimal pair for a lot of you. Ball, bowl, ball, bowl, ball, bowl. Now let's look at a still shot taken from the words I just said. You can see in ball with the aw vowel on the left that my lips do flare and round some, but for bowl on the right, they do so even more. For bowl, the back of the tongue pulls back more than for ball. So with the O diphthong, not with a dark L, we have jaw drop then lip rounding, O. But when it's followed by dark L, it's not a diphthong anymore. We don't have two different positions. Bowl. The lips round like they do at the end of the diphthong, and the back of the tongue pulls down and back, like it does for the dark L. Bowl, ol, ol. Tongue tip does stay forward and down. A couple more words. Coal, mole, roll, soul. These last two are similar. We have the as in butter vowel and the as in push vowel. When followed by the dark L, some native speakers make these sound exactly the same. That's what I do. So bull and bulb sound the same, except for the B at the end. Bull, bulb. They actually have two different vowels. B-U-L-L has the push vowel, and B-U-L-B has the vowel as in butter, But with the dark L, bull, bulb. I make them sound the same. I went to Youglish and studied lots of different native speakers saying words with these sound combinations. With the as in butter vowel, there are a couple of different ways people pronounce this, followed by dark L. Let's take the word culture as an example. I say culture, col, ol, but other people will say culture, cull, ul, with a little more jaw drop. But neither of these is a pure vowel. That would sound like this: butter, bulb, bulb, culture, culture, bulb. That's not really how we pronounce those words. The back of the tongue is already activated, mixing in some of the dark L. Let's look at some more words. I'm going to pronounce them the way I pronounce them, which is with a little less jaw drop. Lull, gulf, bulb, gull, skull, mulch, adult, culture, multiply. With the push vowel, again, you'll hear some variation among native speakers, how much they mix in the dark L. But it's definitely not a pure vowel followed by dark L. That would sound like this: push, pull, pull, pull. But we say pull. We don't say pull. Pull, pull. More words with the sound combination: full, bull, bully, wolf, pulmonary. There are not many words with this sound combination, but pull and full are pretty common. The other dark L topic I want to talk about is linking. This has to do with linking two words like feel about, and linking syllables within a word like salad. When the dark L comes between two vowel or diphthongs, then it does make sense to lift your tongue tip to help define the consonant between the two vowels. So you've heard me say, don't finish your dark L, don't lift your tongue tip. It's not necessary and it detracts from the dark sound. Well, here I'm giving you an opportunity for those of you who really want to lift your tongue tip. I'm saying here, in these cases, it's okay. You don't necessarily have to, but I definitely do it sometimes, and so do other native speakers. So with salad, you can lift your tongue tip. Salad, salad. You don't have to, and I'm sure some native speakers don't. Salad, salad. There I said it without lifting my tongue tip. Salad, salad. But it does help to clean up the word a little bit to lift your tongue tip. Salad, salad. The phrase feel about. You can lift your tongue tip towards the roof of the mouth to help define the two words. Feel, dark sound. Feel, la la la, and then lift the tongue tip. Feel about, labout, labout. Feel about. But most of the time, when this sound is at the end of a thought group or followed by a consonant, leave out the lift. It simplifies the dark sound, it allows you to focus on the dark sound and on the back of the tongue, and it's what native speakers do. Now we're going to study the TH sounds. There are two sounds here, the voiced TH and the unvoiced TH. These sounds are tricky because of the tongue position. They're the only sounds in American English where the tongue tip comes through the teeth. As you'll find out in the next two videos, there are cases where the tongue tip doesn't come through the teeth. Instead, it presses behind the closed teeth. This still sounds like the TH to Americans. What you don't want to do is put the tongue at the roof of the mouth, or pull it back or down, Press forward against the back of the teeth, In the first of the next two videos, you'll see in detail how to make the sound. In the second of these videos, you'll learn shortcuts you can take to make pronouncing these sounds easier. In this American English pronunciation video, we're going to learn how to make the two TH sounds. These sounds are paired together because they take the same mouth position. Th is unvoiced, meaning only air passes through the mouth, and th is voiced, meaning you make a sound with the vocal cords. The very tip of the tongue comes through the teeth. The air passes around the tongue. The tongue is relaxed. There shouldn't be any pressure in the mouth or a stop quality to this sound. Just nice and easy. The tongue has to easily vibrate between the teeth, so keep the tongue soft and relaxed. The lips don't affect this sound, so they can be transitioning to the next sound. For example, in the THR cluster, the lips will round a little bit for the R as you make the TH. 3. Be careful with the tongue tip. Make sure it doesn't come too far forward. It's just the very tip that should come between the teeth. To make the unvoiced TH, the tongue tip absolutely has to come through the teeth. But the voiced TH can be different. When it's in an unstressed, quick word like these or the tongue tip doesn't have to come through the teeth. It can press behind the teeth. Make sure the tongue isn't at the roof of the mouth or pointing down, but pressing right in the middle, where the teeth come together. If it's not in the right position, the sound will be wrong. These. This tongue shortcut works in these words because they're unstressed. So when you don't bring your tongue tip through the teeth, it allows you to make these less important words quickly. These. Let's look at these sounds up close and in slow motion. Notice how it's just the very tip that comes out of the teeth. The tongue is relaxed, the teeth surround it, but they're not clamping down on it. The lips and face are relaxed. Throw. Notice how the lips are starting to flare for the R as the tongue comes through the teeth for the unvoiced TH. Birthday. Keep in mind when you only stick the very tip of your tongue out, the movement into other sounds isn't as hard as you might think. Watch the tongue tip come in and flip up for the D. This is a quick move of the tongue that you can practice over and over to make it more natural. Brother. Tongue tip through the teeth for the voiced TH. Lips and tongue are relaxed. Worth. Ending in the unvoiced TH. Again, the lips and tongue look very relaxed. Remember to keep your tongue relaxed and soft when you practice this sound. The voiced and unvoiced TH. Throw. Birthday. Brother. Worth. Example words. Repeat with me. Other. Th. Other. Either. Th. Either. Though. Th. Though. Thursday. Thursday. Nothing. Nothing. South. South. I hope this video helps you understand these sounds. That's it, and thanks so much for using Rachel's English. A lot of non-native speakers have problems with the TH sound. In this American English pronunciation video, we're going to study the word the in several phrases to show you the tricks and shortcuts that Americans use to easily link the TH to other sounds. We're going to study several examples of function word phrases with the. I've already made a video that goes over the pronunciation of the. To see that video with real-life examples, follow the link at the end of this video. Here, we're going to focus on linking the word the to other words. We'll study up-close, slow-motion video of the mouth saying various two-word phrases with the. At the, in the, is the, with the, for the, and on the. All of these common combinations are made up of two function words, so they'll be very fast and not too clear. If you pronounce these words very clearly and fully, it will not sound natural. She's at the store. This is not how we speak. She's at the store. At the. It's important to capture the character of American English by saying function word phrases this way. Linking the TH can be hard when you're trying to do it quickly, so let's learn some shortcuts to make it easier. Let's start by studying at, the. The vowel in at can be a, but you'll usually hear it as the schwa, at the, at the, at the. In the slow motion video, you'll see a with more jaw drop. How do we quickly make the T followed by TH? At the, at the, at the. You probably don't hear a T, do you? That's because it's a stop T here, followed by another consonant. So just stop the air in your throat. At the. What does the tongue do? Let's watch. Jaw drops for the A vowel. As the jaw comes up, the tongue tip is still down behind the bottom front teeth. It comes through the teeth. It never went to the roof of the mouth, the position of T. When I bring my tongue through the teeth, at, I'm in position for the TH, but I stop the air. So I'm ready to go for the TH as I'm making the stop T. At the, at the. Same thing when the vowel in at is the schwa, at the, at the. This is easier than making a T. You don't have to bring the tongue up into position for the T and then through the teeth. Just bring it through the teeth and stop the air. This is how Americans do it. At the, at the. Let's keep watching. Now the tongue tip comes back into the mouth and goes down behind the bottom front teeth where it needs to be for either the E vowel or the schwa in the. Let's watch the phrase again. Jaw drops for the vowel. Tongue tip comes through the teeth, then back down for the vowel. Note that it's just the tip of the tongue that comes through the teeth, not more. Try that with me. At the, at the, at the, at the. Or with the schwa, at the, at the, at the, at the. I'm at the store. At the. I'm at the store. At the. At the. Next, the phrase in the. Let's take a look. In an unstressed syllable, the jaw barely drops for the I vowel. Now the tongue tip comes through the teeth. But wait, isn't the tongue supposed to go to the roof of the mouth for the N? Yes, that is usually how the N is pronounced, but I can make the sound with the tip of my tongue through the teeth. While the part that's just a little further back is at the roof of the mouth. In the. Now the TH, and the tongue tip goes back in the mouth and down for the vowel. Let's watch the phrase again. Tongue comes through the teeth for the N, TH. This is simpler than making the full N position and then the TH position. This is how Americans do it. So now you have two shortcuts. The stop T can be made with the tongue tip in position for the TH, and so can the N. Let's watch at the and in the again. Notice the movements of the mouth are small and simple. Next, the phrase is the. A lot of people have a hard time linking the S or Z with the TH. The jaw drops just a bit for the I vowel, and the tongue tip touches the back of the bottom front teeth. Next, you'll see the tongue tip move. It will point up. The tongue tip can either point up or down to make the S and Z sounds. I do both, depending on the word and the sounds around it. The teeth come together for the Z sound. Is. Now the tongue tip does something interesting. It doesn't come through the teeth for the TH. When the voiced TH begins a function word, like in the, these, this, we can do a shortcut. Rather than the tip coming through the teeth, it presses behind closed teeth. The. Important, it is not at the roof of the mouth. That would make a D sound, and that's not correct. Let's look at the correct position. Jaw drops for the vowel. Tongue tip up and teeth close for the Z. Tongue tip comes back down and touches the back of the closed teeth. This is the correct position. Tongue tip is not at the roof of the mouth. And tongue tip down for the vowel in the. Let's watch again. Amazing. This is a much easier way to make the voiced TH quickly in a function word. This happens a lot. In the first two examples, you can make the sound before with the tongue in position for the TH, the stop T and the N. But you can't make the S or Z with the tongue tip through the teeth, so we take a different shortcut. We alter the TH by not bringing the tongue tip through the teeth. Is the. It still sounds like a TH to native speakers. It still sounds right. The next phrase is with the. Wow, 2 THs. What do we do here? Let's take a look. The lips round for the W. When the lips part, the inside of the mouth looks dark. That's because the tongue was lifted in the back for the W sound. As the tongue comes forward, the tip heads right for the position between the teeth. There's the TH. Then the tongue tip goes back inside the mouth and down behind the bottom front teeth for the vowel. What do we do with the 2 THs? With is usually pronounced with an unvoiced TH, and the with a voiced TH, the. Here's what to do. Combine them. Just make one TH. Make it unvoiced and connect the 2 words with it. With the. A voiced TH would also be okay with the, but it's much less common and it's more complicated. So stick with the unvoiced TH. With the. So here the shortcut is don't make a voiced TH. Combine it with the ending unvoiced TH of with. Let's watch again. It looks pretty simple, doesn't it? Now let's study for the. For reduces to for in a sentence. For you, for me, for the first time. To pronounce it this way, the bottom lip comes up to touch the bottom of the top front teeth. Let air pass through. The tongue can be pulled back for the R. It won't affect the F sound. For the R sound, the middle of the tongue shifts back and up a little. Fur. So the tip of the tongue isn't touching anything. Further. So the tongue tip is pulled back and we simply bring it forward through the teeth. Let's take a look. Wow, this is in slow motion and yet the tongue tip was through the teeth for just a brief moment. Let's watch again. Further. Can you practice that quick movement without making sounds? Just bringing the tongue quickly in and out. This is the movement you want. The tongue tip only needs to be there for an instant to make the right sound. Since the sound before R and the sound after the vowel are both voiced, your vocal cords are already doing what they need to do. All you have to do is that quick tongue movement. If it feels awkward, don't worry. The movement is quite easy to practice, and practice will make it feel more natural to you. For the. Let's look one more time. Now the phrase on the. Do you remember the trick from in the? You can make the N with the tongue tip through the teeth. Let's take a look. Jaw drops for the vowel. The tongue tip is pointed down. Then the tongue tip comes up and out of the teeth. A quick, simple movement. Let's watch again. So linking the TH isn't as complicated as you might think. The movements of the tongue are small, and there are shortcuts you can take to make transitions between consonant sounds easier. Let's look at the phrases one more time. Notice the simplicity of the mouth movements. I hope this video makes you more confident with the TH sound. These little phrases with the are very common. Can you come up with similar phrases for these and this? Practice them. Practice these little phrases over and over. The more you do this, the more natural these tongue movements will be for you. Then try putting these two-word phrases into larger sentences. Focus on making these words simply and quickly. You can do it. Speaking this way will make you sound more natural and American. This is not sloppy English. You want to make function words like these very short in all of your speech, even in a business setting or with colleagues. Recently, my son Stoney turned 3, and it got me thinking about the THR consonant cluster. The THR cluster combines two of the hardest sounds in American English, so in today's video we're going to break it down into easy and efficient steps. I'll show you how to practice to help make the words with these sounds more comfortable. You'll also learn powerful new vocabulary words that have this THR cluster like throng, throwback, and threadbare. Stoney still can't do a TH. He says free instead of 3. This became especially clear when he turned 3 recently. 3. Can you say 3? The TH is unvoiced. I can't think of any words where the TH in this cluster is voiced. So if you can think of any words, put them in the comments. For the unvoiced TH, the tongue tip must come through the teeth. It's just the very tip. I've made a couple of videos that go more in depth on the TH, and if you haven't seen them yet, check out this playlist. And please note, it's just the tip. I've seen lots of students put way too much of the tongue out. Incorrect. Just the tip. There's no pressure, just a light, free flow of air. The tongue tip is the most forward for TH out of all of the sounds. And out of all of the sounds, the tongue tip is the furthest back for the R. Let's look at two photos. We have the TH on the left and the R on the right. Tongue tip through the teeth for the TH, then pulled slightly back for the R. I'm going to put the photos one on top of the other now. I want you to see that even though they are the two extremes for tongue position in English, the difference isn't huge. The tip is slightly through the front teeth and then pulled slightly back. Thur, thur, thur. Look at the positions side by side again. What else is different? The lips. They're totally relaxed for the TH, but flared for the R. Let's look at some close, slow motion footage. This is from an older video where I'm going over the pronunciation of the word thrifty, which is used to describe someone who spends money carefully, does not waste money, tries to spend as little as possible. The tongue tip comes through the teeth. Not too much of the tongue, just the tip. Now the lips come in a bit, a little flare. Do you see that tension in the corners of the lips? That's what we do to make the lips come in for that small flare. Compare that with the corners of the lips totally relaxed. This is for the E as in she vowel at the end of the word. Let's look again, this time from the front. Tongue tip through the teeth, then the lips flare slightly. Remember, the tongue tip is pulled back a bit for this sound. Practice this cluster with me. Thur, thur, thur. I really recommend practicing holding out the R. Thur. It often helps my students find the correct position. Let's do some words. Say them out loud with me. Don't just watch. We'll say the word once, then we'll say it holding out the R, then we'll say it again. I'll also do a sentence for each word, and for each word that I think you might not know, I'll give you the definition. These are all of the most common words with THR that you might find. 3. Three. 3. My son just turned 3. Through. Through. It's a difficult time, but we'll get through it. Throw, through, thrown, throwing, throws, throwback. Throw, throw, throw. Notice this is an irregular verb. For the past tense, you don't add ed. Throw becomes through. That's a homophone, meaning it sounds exactly the same as the word we just did, through. Through, through. But here the word is throw. Throw. Don't throw it away. I might need it later. Threat, threaten, threatened, threatening, threats. Don't bully me, don't threaten me. Threat. 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 Throat. 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 I have a sore throat. Thrust. 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 He thrust the sword into his enemy. Thread. 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 There's a loose thread on my shirt. Threadbare. Threadbare. This is when something made of fabric, like clothing or furniture, maybe a stuffed animal, gets very worn with age. The rugs in the hotel were threadbare. They need to be replaced. Threshold. This word is interesting because the letter H goes with S to make the SH sound, but then it also makes an H. Threshold. This is the bottom part of a doorway. You cross over it to get into a room. We also use it to mean the point at which something changes. You have to keep a GPA of 3.0 to keep your scholarship. Below that threshold and you lose it. Threshold. 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 Thrill. Thrilling. Thrills. Thrilled. I'm thrilled to have you as my student. Thrill. 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 Thrive. Thrives. Thriving. To prosper, grow, or develop. Stoney is thriving at his new daycare. Thrive. 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 Thrash. Thrashing. To thrash something is to beat it, hit it. We also use it in sports when a team wins by a large margin. The soccer team took a thrashing last night. They lost 0-5. Thrash. Thrash. Thrush. This is a kind of bird. The thrush has a lovely song. Thrush. Thrush. Throng. A throng is a crowd, many people, densely packed in. There was a throng of people at the grocery store just before the snowstorm. Throng. 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 Throttle. A flap T, a dark L. This is a very tricky word. This means to control the flow of something, like fuel to an engine, or bad policies could throttle innovation, slow it down. It can also mean to choke someone. Full throttle means at top speed. Did you finish all your work last night? Yeah, I was going full throttle. 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 Throb, throbbing. To beat, pulsate. I was so nervous my heart was throbbing. Throb. throb, throb. Thrift, thrifty. We have to be really thrifty this month because we overspent last month. Thrifty, thrifty, thrifty. Thrombosis, a medical term, the formation of a blood clot in a blood vessel. Thrombosis, thrombosis, thrombosis. The next video goes over the T and D sounds. I apologize in advance for how crazy the T sound is in American English. Please watch some Ben Franklin videos, either in the Hollywood course or the Conversations course, to see how common it is to change the pronunciation of the T. The true T becomes a stop T or a flap T a lot. When you study real conversation, you will notice this. Studying the T pronunciations in the Ben Franklin exercises will help you get used to the different sounds, and it will also help you get used to the situations where you'll want to change your T pronunciations to sound more American. These are stop consonants. In American English, we have 6 stop consonants: T and D, B and P, and G and K. T is the sound where we will most likely not release the stop. P, K, K. More frequently, we will make that release of air. K, K. But T, so often we will skip the release. What? No release. The more you listen to it and study it in the Ben Franklin exercises, the more you'll be able to notice it and do it yourself. T pronunciations. Good luck. In this American English pronunciation video, we're going to study how to make the T and D consonant sounds. These two sounds are paired together because they take the same mouth position. T is unvoiced, meaning only air passes through the mouth, and D is voiced, meaning D. You make a sound with the vocal cords. These consonants are complicated because the way Americans pronounce them isn't always what you'll find in a dictionary. First, let's talk about the true pronunciation. These are stop consonants, which means there are 2 parts. First, a stop in the airflow, and second, a release. We stop here by closing the vocal cords and lift the tongue so the flat top part is at the roof of the mouth. It's far forward, almost touching the back of the top front teeth. The teeth come together and we release all three parts at once. The tongue comes down from the roof of the mouth, the teeth part, and we release the air in the throat. T, d. Just like with other stop consonants, we want to release them into the next sound. Let's look at the true T and D consonants up close and in slow motion. The teeth come together and the top front of the tongue is at the roof of the mouth. The air stops in the throat. Then the teeth part and the tongue pulls down to release. The word desk. The teeth close and the tongue is at the roof of the mouth. Then everything releases right into the as in bed vowel. The word stick. The teeth close and the tongue is at the roof of the mouth. Then everything releases right into the as in sit vowel. The word expect. The teeth nearly close and the tongue is at the roof of the mouth. Then the teeth release just a bit. There's no next sound to release into, so the movement is minimal for the release. The tongue releases down. It's possible to make the true D without the teeth coming together. Said, d, d. Because of the voice in this sound, we can still release it. Said, d. But to make the true T, the teeth do have to come together or nearly together. Set, t. That was the true T and true D. If the T or D are at the end of a sentence, or if the next word begins with a consonant, then we make a stop T or stop D. We stop the air, but we don't release it. You lift your tongue into position, stop the air, and that's it. For example, the word mad. Mad. Notice the last sound is the beginning of the D, with the vocal cords engaged because it's a voiced consonant. And that's all. I don't release. A release would sound like this, mad, d. But instead, I say mad, leaving my tongue tip up. Now let's look at an example with a T followed by another consonant, the phrase, not for me. Here the T is followed by F. I stop the air, not, and then without releasing go into the F sound. Not for me. With stop consonants, we do stop the air in the throat, so I don't have to move my tongue up into position for the T to stop the sound. In this phrase, not for me, I touch the roof of my mouth with a part of the tongue that's further back. Not. My tongue tip can stay down. This helps me make the stop even shorter, so I can quickly go into the next sound. Not for. I'll bring my tongue up for the stop T if the next sound also requires the tongue being at the roof of the mouth. When I say, not for me, instead of not for me, the words are more connected and the sentence is smoother. That's what we want in American English, and that's why we use the stop T instead of the true T in these cases. Not for me, not for me, not for me. Let's look at a stop up close and in slow motion. Here's the word what. I don't release the T at the end. the tongue goes to the roof of the mouth, but then I just stop the air. My teeth aren't together, and I don't release. The lips simply close. What? Here's what it looks like with a true T. The teeth come together, then a subtle release. Compare the ending. The top is what with a stop T, and the bottom is what with a true T. For the stop T, the teeth don't come together because they don't need to release. The air simply stops with the tongue in position. For the true T, we bring the teeth together so the tongue, teeth, and air release. The stop T and D relate to the true T and D. We simply skip the release. But when the T or D come between two vowels or diphthongs, or after an R and before a vowel or diphthong, we make a different sound. One exception: if the T or D starts a stressed syllable, then it's a true T or D. But in other cases, when the T or D consonants come between two vowels or diphthongs, or after an R and before a vowel or diphthong, we make a flap sound. This is different from the true and stop T and D because we don't stop the sound. We don't hold anything. We simply let the front part of the tongue bounce against the roof of the mouth without stopping the flow of air. The flap T and flap D sound the same. The T in matter is the same as the D in matter. 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 This sounds just like the R in many languages, but in American English, it's the flap T or flap D. In my videos, I use the D symbol for this sound. This sound, however, isn't a stop consonant anymore. Let's look at some words with a flap up close and in slow motion. The word city. Here the T comes between two vowel sounds, so it's a flap. The tongue is in position for the I vowel. Watch how it flaps against the roof of the mouth quickly. The air doesn't stop. That flap was fast, even in slow motion. Let's watch again. The whole word one more time. The word party. Here the T comes after an R and before a vowel, so it's a flap. The tongue is back and up for the R. Watch it flap and come down from the flap. The air didn't stop. Watch the whole word one more time. The word tidy. Here the D comes after a diphthong and before a vowel, so it's a flap D. Watch the tongue flap. The whole word one more time. To isolate the sound, try holding out the sound before and after. Party. Then you can really feel the tongue flap, bouncing against the roof of the mouth. Remember, this isn't represented in dictionaries. They will show the symbol for the true T, party, even though Americans pronounce it party. So remember the rule. When a T or D comes between vowels and diphthongs, or after an R before a vowel or diphthong, like party, unless it starts a stressed syllable, flap the tongue. Sometimes we drop the T or D completely. We leave the sounds out. This is an American habit. If you look up the words in the dictionary, the sounds are there. There are two cases when you might hear an American drop a T or D. First, when the T or D comes between two consonant sounds. For example, exactly. This word has the K, T, L consonants together, but most people pronounce it without the T. Exactly. Full pronunciation, exactly. Common pronunciation, exactly. Dropping the T between two consonants simplifies the pronunciation. Also, we often drop the T when it comes after an N. Many Americans say center instead of center, or interview instead of interview. This is a big topic. I have a whole series of videos on the pronunciation of T and D, which you can find on my website. The true T and D sounds: desk, stick, expect. Stop T and D: mad, not, what. The flap T and D: city, party, tidy. Example words. Repeat with me. Best, best. Time, time. Do, do. Odd, odd. There's no way to make a stop T sound on its own because it isn't a sound. It's a lack of sound. Cut, cut. Better, better. I hope this video helps you understand these sounds. That's it, and thanks so much for using Rachel's English.
The true T. How is yours? T, t, t. It has to be crisp. T. There should be a little escape of air. T, t, t. I can feel it. But you don't want to overdo it either. T, t. That's too much. I've noticed a lot of people from India do not have a strong true T, among other people. They have a tendency to lighten it, soften it, mute it. Time, time. We need that t crispness, that true T with the teeth together. Time, t. We don't want dime, da, 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 dime, 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 da, 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 da. That is not a true T. T, t. Time. Can you hear the difference? Time, dime, time, dime. Teeth together, crisp. T. Time. It's interesting, when I was making the true T audio to work with, I had a hard time thinking of words with a true T. Words that begin with a true T, that's easy. Time, test, take, for example. But I like to have variety in the audio. So I wanted some words that end in a true T or that have a true T in the middle. True T at the end are so often pronounced as stops, not a true T, and T's in the middle of a word. They'll only definitely be true T's if they start a stressed syllable, like attain or attitude, tude, tude. Attitude, the syllable that begins with the true T here has secondary stress, and that does count for this rule too. If the T begins a syllable with primary or secondary stress, it will be a true T, unless it's followed by an R. Then a lot of people will pronounce it like a CH,
like in the word attribute, attribute. Also, the T is often dropped after an N, so those words don't work either, like internet, center, internet. Usually the T is flapped, like in butter, or stopped, like in itself. So it was interesting for me to try to come up with words with a true T in the middle or end that would definitely be pronounced as a true T. We have so many habits that involve changes when it comes to T. In this video, I'm going to attempt to tackle a couple of difficult topics. When the flap T is followed by schwa R, and also when it's followed by schwa L. Better, computer, writer, order. These words all have the flap T R. As you know, for the flap T, the front of the tongue bounces against the roof of the mouth. For the R, or schwa R sound, the shape is more like this, with the middle lifted. So the movement to perfect is this. Rider. A flap and a pull back. It will always help you if you hold out the sound before the flap. It helps you prepare and focus on the tongue. Rider. Flap and back. The front of the tongue flaps against the roof of the mouth as it pulls back for the R. Writer. This applies to words where the flap T is followed by the schwa R. You know that I use this symbol for the flap T, the D. Why? Because the flap T sounds just like the D between vowels. So what you're learning here also applies when there is a D instead of a T. So R vowel or diphthong, then T or D, then schwa R. Flap and back. Let's look at the word wider. Wider. Flap and back. Der. Wider. In this video right now, we're going to do 5 words. Do them with me out loud. I'll do each word twice, holding out the sound before, and once at regular pace. As you hold out the vowel, focus on your tongue. Then think through the position. Flap and back. Hold out the R sound at the end of the word too to help you feel that clean, crisp tongue bounce. First, better. 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 Computer. 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 Greater. 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 Later. 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 Lighter. 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 There's audio to practice with following this video. Lots of words to work with. Listen to the audio, then work on the words without the audio, just like we did here. Taking your time, holding out the sound before the flap, holding out the R after the flap. Then do it again, but don't hold your sounds quite as long. Move in the direction of normal speech, but keep the motion of the tongue in mind. Flap and back. It's a muscular motion. You're training your muscles to be comfortable with this movement. And the more you do it, the more quickly you'll be able to do it. And it will become natural for you to do in regular speech. Now this also relates to the flap, schwa, L as far as how you want to practice. The movement is different. Let's find and discuss the movement you need for these words. The flap is the front of the tongue bouncing against the roof of the mouth. Ra, ra. The dark L is made with the back of the tongue. Ol, ol. Let's take the example word, nettle. I'm going to hold out the vowel before so I can notice, isolate, and follow the movement of the tongue. Metal. Metal. So the front of the tongue flaps up and back down. Metal. Right as it flaps, the back part of the tongue does its job by pulling back. The motion looks something like this. Metal. Ol. Metal. This applies to all words with the flap sound followed by the schwa and L, whether spelled with the T or D or double T or double D. Let's work on 5 words together. Bottle. 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 Middle. 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 Flap down and pull the back back. Middle. Noodle. 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 Vital. 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 vital, hospital, 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 hospital. When I do this and I slow down the sound before, it really allows me to focus in on the tongue, and I feel just the light bounce really quickly and back down as it moves from the flap into the next sound, either the dark L or the schwa R. The audio that follows this video will give you a lot of words to work with this sound combination. Listen to the audio, but then work on it this way, just like with the flap T schwa R, holding out the sound before, then holding out the dark L. When this starts to feel comfortable, speed it up, but keep the focus on the precision of your tongue. Words with these sound combinations, flap schwa R and flap schwa L, are some of the trickiest words for my students, but they don't have to be. When you practice these combinations over and over and slow it down, your mouth will get used to these movements. You're probably watching this video after having already studied the T sound. But the T sound and the D sound go together because they take the same mouth position. D often gets neglected because the T is so much more complicated. But D has its own characteristics that make it a challenge. It's a stop consonant, which means that we might not release it. We might not make the full, clear sound. Let's take a look at the word D, A, D. I'm going to say it once with a released D. Dad, d, d, dad. And now with a stop T. Dad, dad, dad. Light release. Dad, no release. One question I get asked is, how is a stop T different from a stop D? Let's look at hid and hit. Hit. Abrupt stop of air for the stop T. Hit. Hit. And now with the D. Hid. Hid. A stop of air, it's unreleased. Hid. Hid. But it's a little different from the stop T. I stop the air, but there's also a very subtle sound in the throat. Hid. That's the vibration of the vocal cords. That's the voiced part of the D. See if you can hear it in the minimal pair. It's very subtle. Hit. Hid. Hit. Hid. So the little vocal cord vibration happens when we stop the sound. Hid. Hid. The D is just like the T in its flap quality between vowels. Buddy. Buddy. R, r, r. That's a flap. The air doesn't stop,
The tongue bounces once against the roof of the mouth, bud, bud, buddy, buddy. Just like the T, this flap also happens when it comes after an R before a vowel, like in the word harder. Harder, der, der, der. Single flap. Because it's voiced, it's considered a weak consonant. That means at the end of a sentence, it's going to be very light. Let's take the word find as an example. Find. I may voice it, or I might not really voice it at all. Find. It's a voiced consonant, but when it's at the end of a thought, you lightly release it, often with no voice. It's not find, find, with the heavy D. Find. Very light release. This is true of all the voiced consonants in these consonant pairs. At the end of a thought group, they sound like a weak, unvoiced consonant. Find. Find. Now let's talk about ED endings. Sometimes this ending is pronounced as a T, and sometimes as a D, sometimes as id. It all depends on the sound before the ending. Let's take a quick look at the rules. These ED endings are often unclear in spoken English. It doesn't matter. We will always understand because of the context, but this can be really confusing for non-native speakers. Let's look at a few cases. The word filled. The ED here is pronounced as a D sound. I filled my cup. I filled my cup. Do you hear the D? Probably not. We sometimes drop the D between two other consonants. Look, here it is between two consonants. I can drop it. I fill my cup. But even if I don't, I filled my cup. It's that very subtle D sound in the vocal cords done very quickly between the two other consonants. I filled my cup. I filled my cup. I filled my cup. I filled my cup. There I'm doing a very light D, but most non-native speakers probably can't hear that. Try to make that D sound with me really quickly. My tongue is up in position and I vibrate the vocal cords. Filled. Filled my. Filled my. Very subtle. Filled my. So the D sound in the ED ending doesn't make much difference in pronunciation. It becomes more clear when the next word begins with a vowel or a diphthong. Let's change the word my for a. I filled a cup. Filled a. Filled a. Filled a. Now the D is a flap linking the two words together. Filled a. I filled a cup. So linking ending consonant to beginning vowel will strengthen that ending consonant. Now it's a clearer flap sound rather than that very subtle D sound. So with ED endings, the sound of the ending can definitely be hard to hear, and it might be dropped. I think you know now the subtle sound of a stop D or a D between consonants. So even if you can't always hear native speakers doing it, you can at least know what's going on, and you can practice it on your own.
The R consonant might be the hardest consonant in American English, but I don't think it has to be. I think part of what is hard about it is people start learning it with all these other ideas about the R from their own language or from past teachers. The video after this video goes over how to make the R sound. When you watch it, think of this. You're learning a new sound. It's not the R, it's something totally new. In addition to the R, you already know. You know nothing about this new sound, so all you can do is absorb. Watch and pay attention. You know nothing about it, so don't try to categorize it. Don't try to relate it to things you already know. You'll see pictures, you'll hear the sound, and you'll hear a description of how this sound is made. Learn this sound in addition to the R you already know. Practice this sound with the audio. Don't practice the R you already know. The R you already know might be kind of hard. This sound is easy. Just imitate. You've already worked on your imitation skills in the basics course. In the next video, I talk briefly about a problem, flapping the R. The R is pronounced R. In so many languages, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, Hindustani, among others. So this may be your old American R. R. But it's quite different from this new sound that you're going to learn here. R. R. The first one, the wrong one, you can't hold out. R. The second one, the correct one, you can. You can hold that sound forever. The first one, R, has lips that are relaxed. The second one, has lips that flare a little bit. So throw your R out the window. Start from scratch with this sound as you watch the next video.
In this American English pronunciation video, we're going to learn how to make the R consonant sound. This is truly one of the hardest sounds in American English. Before I go into how to make it, I want to talk about how not to make it. In many languages, the R is made by bouncing the front part of the tongue against the roof of the mouth. R, R. In American English, this sound is the T or D between vowels, but it's quite different from the American R. You can't hold out R, R, but you should be able to hold out the American R. This consonant is voiced. There are two ways to make this sound. In the first way, the front part of the tongue pulls back and up, like this. The tongue can be stretched so it's long and skinny, or it can be pulled into itself so it's fatter and thicker, and that's what we want here. We're making the tongue fatter and thicker so it's not as long. The back doesn't move. This is happening with the front and middle of the tongue. The middle part of the tongue lifts up towards the roof of the mouth. You can touch the sides of the tongue to the sides of the roof of the mouth here, or to the inside or bottom of the side teeth here. The front part of the tongue is hanging in the middle of the mouth, not touching anything. This sound is forward and focused because of the position of the lips. the corners come in, pushing the lips away from the face. This lip position will be a little more relaxed when the R comes at the end of a syllable. We'll compare this way on the left with the other way to make an R on the right. The R can also be made by flipping the tongue tip up. The lips flare the same way. Some native speakers make the R one way and some the other. Native speakers get the correct sound no matter the mouth position. But I've found that non-native speakers often drop the jaw too much in this second method, and it makes the sound hollow. The jaw doesn't need to drop very much for this sound. So keep this in mind as you work on one of these two methods. Here's the R sound on its own, not part of a word. You can see the lips flare. Think of creating a little space between the inside of your lips and your teeth. Notice how little jaw drop there is. We don't need to drop the jaw to pull the tongue back and up. The word rest. When the R is at the beginning of a word, we tend to make the lips a tight circle. Again, little jaw drop as the middle of the tongue lifts to the roof of the mouth. The word proud. When R is in a beginning consonant cluster, the lips may not be as tight as in a beginning R. The word mother. At the end of a syllable, the lip position for the R is definitely more relaxed than a beginning R, but the lips still flare. Here we compare the lip position of the beginning R in rest above to the ending R in mother below. The ending R lip position is much more relaxed. Thinking about the lip position will help you make a better R sound. As you work on this consonant, practice very slowly, thinking about all three things at once. Very little jaw drop, the tongue position, and the lip position. Remember, you can hold out this sound, so that's how you want to practice it. Hold it out for 5 or 10 seconds. Hold it out as long as you can. When you practice it in a word, do the same. Rest. Proud. Mother. The R sound. Rest. Proud. Mother. Example words. Repeat with me. Read. Read. Great. Great. Try. Try. Later. Later. Right. Right. Other. Other. I hope this video helps you understand this sound. That's it, and thanks so much for using Rachel's English.
Sometimes non-native speakers take the R sound when it follows a vowel and they let it kill that vowel. For example, I hear the word car pronounced car and the word air pronounced So today we're going to talk about words where there's a vowel or diphthong followed by an R in the same syllable. So I've taken a look at every vowel and diphthong. Let's start with ah plus R, like in car. The important thing to think about is making an ah vowel, dropping the jaw before making the R, and letting your tongue tip be forward. If it's already pulled back, then it's going to sound like an R, cur, cur. We want ka, ka, tongue tip forward, car. Then you pull it back for the R. Car. Not cur, but car. Car. Ka. Car. Plus R, like in air. This is written with a schwa in between, but as you might already know, R is a syllabic consonant. It overpowers the schwa, so you don't need to worry about making a schwa sound separate from the R. First, let's take a look at the word air and break it into just the sounds and schwa R. Air, 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 air. That's not really how we pronounce the word air. It doesn't sound quite right to me. Air, air, that's how I pronounce it. Not air, but air. Air. It's a little more closed than the pure eh. Let's take a look at a few other people. How are they pronouncing the word? I'm going to go to Forvo, which is a website where people can record words. It's a good place to go to hear several different takes on the same word. I'm going to listen to the United States speakers.
Air,
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 Air, air. They're all the same as me. The opening sound is more closed than a pure eh. Let's slow down the sound. Air. It's sort of like an A diphthong. Not exactly like it, but close. Air, air, air. One mistake that is sometimes made is this. There's no feeling of a vowel before the R. The thing you have to do is leave your tongue tip forward at the beginning. Air. Then you can pull it back for the R. But if your tongue tip is pulled back from the beginning, it's just going to sound like air. Air. Tongue tip forward. Air. Care. Share. All as in law, plus R. This is another one where the sound changes. I made a video on my YouTube channel where I talk about this in the word quarter. Let's take a look.
The vowel is the aw as in law vowel, but it's not a pure aw vowel, ko-o, because it's followed by the R sound. When the aw vowel is followed by an R in the same syllable, it's quite different. Instead of aw, it's o. What's happening? My lips are rounding a little bit more, ko-o, and my tongue pulls back a little bit. That brings the sound further back in my mouth, ko-o, instead of ah. The reason is the R. The tongue pulls back and up for the R, so it's influencing this vowel, ko-o. My tongue is lifting more and it's a little further back than for a pure ah vowel. Ko-o, core.
So not aw, but aw. Lips more rounded, tongue shifted back a bit. Aw. Core. Core. Boring. Bowl. Boring. More. Mole. More. Okay, the a vowel, like in the word arrow. Another case where the vowel will shift a little bit. I did a little research